voice of the Northeast, LMFM.
In studio to tell you more is Lolo Robinson. She's the chair of the Fleadh Cheoil Committee, also the chair of Cultus, and we have Padraig Kearns in studio as well, who is the deputy project director. So certainly an awful lot of responsibility is being, I suppose, handed out between both Lolo and Padraig. So thank you indeed both for coming in. Essentially, what is the Fleadh, outside of what I just said there?
Okay, well the Fleadh is the biggest event in Ireland, biggest traditional Irish music, song and dance event in Ireland, attracting an audience of approximately 400,000 people. About 27% of the visitors will be from overseas, and the Fleadh, the main part of the Fleadh is the Scoil Éigse, which are the workshops, the music workshops, which will run from Monday to Thursday, and then the competitions, which are over Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Now, this is going to be a massive event. It's never happened in Drogheda before, but certainly this will lay the foundations for next year as well. But people in Drogheda will be wondering, well, there's going to be all these people, 400,000 plus, what can I do to help? So if the listeners now listening to this, what can they do to help? How can they make it a more inclusive exercise?
Well, there will be lots of volunteers needed, approximately 1,500 volunteers over the week of the Fleadh, but we also need volunteers from now on, because gradually committees are spreading out and the workload is increasing. So if they get in touch with the Louth Volunteer Centre, they can sign up there.
And in terms of what Drogheda can expect, because this, as I mentioned, is a mammoth undertaking, there's an awful lot of different things all being pulled together to make it very successful. What can Drogheda expect?
Drogheda can expect a week of fantastic fun, really. There will be concerts, there will be street sessions, there will be organised sessions in different venues as well. So, and it's very much a family orientated event which appeals to young and old.
Now, Padraig, you are the Deputy Project Director. You've got a lot on your shoulders there as well. Essentially, your role as Deputy Project Director, what does it involve?
Dogs, buddy. I do whatever I'm told.
But I didn't want to say
that. Look, there's a huge amount of people involved in the background and the organisation of this event. Let's be honest about it. This is Ireland's biggest festival. There is none bigger. So it's a huge undertaking. However, we've already set up, there's 12 committees in the background that are operating presently, and on each committee there's probably 10 or 12 people, and they would range in skill sets in different areas. For example, logistics, obviously there's a huge amount of organisation with regard to all the infrastructure that has to be put in place in the town centre. Some of those key locations have already been announced. The gig rig, which is a centrepiece of the event, where all the 90% of the music will be, and it's a free open air situation, will be in Bolton Square. So it's right bang smack in the town centre. Fleadh TV, which will broadcast on TG Car 4 nights, which is an increase on last year. Last year it was 3. And they will have 2 stages down on the quay in Drogheda. So that'll be another focal point for people in the town centre. And then the Dome, where we will host a lot of our big concerts, paid concerts, will be situated down in Dominic's Park. So that's one element, is logistics. You move on then to sponsorship and fundraising. We're in lots of conversations at this moment in time, and we've some key announcements to make in the coming weeks with regard to sponsorship at a national level and at a local level. We have a patrons programme in place where we're asking local businesses to get involved and to support the event. This is the biggest event that we will see in Drogheda in my lifetime. That's a reality. There will be none bigger than this. This is the biggest amount of people that will come to this town, and it's an opportunity for us to showcase all that's great about our tourism, all that we have to offer with regards to the great things that you can enjoy when you come to this area. We are, as I say to people, the Galway of the East Coast, and that is how I view Drogheda. It's so much on offer, so it's a great opportunity to showcase the world what we have here and what's to be enjoyed. So I'm personally, I want to see us ensure that we give people such a fantastic time that they not just want to come back to the Fleadh Cheoil in 2019, but that in 5 years' time and in 7 years' time, that they want to come back and visit Drogheda for what it has offered them in the past. So that's, we have a charter and legacy committee headed up by Rory Scott, and they're looking at that element, what the legacy will be with regard to both traditional music, dancing, but also with regard to tourism and how we can capitalise on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And that's a very good question in itself, and sorry to cut across you,
Yeah.
but the legacy of 2018 and then next year as well, what is the legacy going to be?
Well, for me, you have to look at twofolds. I mean, I actually, this weekend, with all the events that were organised for St Patrick's weekend, and the Charter and Legacy Committee organised a whole Fleadh, Taste of the Fleadh festival. Now, unfortunately, with the weather, we lost a lot of the events. But there was one event that I attended on Sunday afternoon, which was a Singers Club in Relish Cafe at the High Lanes. And I intended to go in, have a coffee and say hello and listen to a couple of tunes and leave. I found myself hanging on to listen to all these wonderful local singers who had come forward to this event to just, share the experience of singing traditional Irish music, our song. And it was really engaging because you're not really aware of how much talent is in the area, first of all. So your question being about legacy, I can already see the legacy beginning to develop because at every stage and at every step that we're building towards the event, you can see people genuinely re-engaging with their culture, with their heritage, with our musical past. And that for me is, I can already feel that starting to begin. So that's part of the legacy. The other element of it, of course, is from a tourism perspective. I believe we have to raise the bar with regard to the amount of people that are coming here from a customer service perspective in our bars, in our restaurants, in our shops, in our hotels. We need to offer them a céad míle fáilte like they've never had before. Drogheda is not traditionally known as a huge tourist area like maybe the west of Ireland might be, or Kilkenny might be, or Galway might be, or Ennis might be, but this is our opportunity to shine. So we have a series of training events for all local businesses to attend in the coming weeks, arranged with Fleadh Cheoil Na. 2 of them have already been held and were sold out. They're free, but they were attended by, there was a huge crowd packed out. So look, it's an opportunity for those businesses to build a platform for tourism going ahead into the future. So from a legacy perspective, that's the two elements that I would see.
You're mentioning tourism as well, and if we look at that, I suppose, in broader terms, we know about all the promotion and all the talk, some of which you've done here today, but when you're promoting this event abroad, what efforts are being put in place? How are you actually communicating what's going to happen and what happens in the Fleadh to people who could be thousands of miles away who want to come? Yeah,
well, I suppose Cultus as an organisation is essentially built with the same infrastructure as the GAA. So they have county boards and Leinster, they have provincials, and then they have international organisations. So they're like a huge big family, and when you get involved you don't realise, but all of a sudden you realise, oh God, this is exactly like a GAA family. So Cultus people know what the Fleadh is. It's the All Ireland competitions across the different denominations of musical instruments and dance and song. So they know when the event is coming up, and to be perfectly frank with you, if you held this event in Timbuktu, you'd probably have 350,000 people attend. So our task is to, push that up as high as we can. Hopefully, Ennis had 450,000 people, and we want to put it in excess of that number, and I believe we can, because Drogheda has that unique infrastructure along this eastern corridor between Dublin and Belfast. 20 minutes to Drogheda International Airport in Dublin, right beside the port, a tunnel into the port. People who come from the UK, myself and Lola have been to the convention, the British Convention, a couple of times in the UK. I'm getting calls from people that I know locally who are telling me that their uncles or their cousins are in the UK or in America, and they're coming over and they're going to vacate their houses and offer them up for them to stay here. So the message goes far and wide. It doesn't really need a whole huge push. Of course, we have a PR and marketing company who are working alongside us to get that message out, and they will do as we run up to the event. But at a national, international level, believe you me, that message is being delivered, and we can expect a fantastic event in 143 days' time.
Well, you have it down to the last. You probably have it down to the last second, have you?
Well, look, it's the headache gets bigger as we go along.
Lolo, if I can come back to you, because you will shortly be announcing a full programme of events.
Well, we're hoping to launch that mid-April. So we are, And it's very interesting, as Pork said, about people from all over the world, because I've had inquiries from China, from Korea, from Germany, from the Czech Republic, from Belgium, really from all over the world as well. And our own youth officer, Orla Brannigan, is actually travelling over next 2 weeks' time to the American Convention in Chicago, where she's going to be giving workshops and promoting Fleadh over there as well.
In terms of the way, Lolo, that we cherish and nurture our culture, we're very fortunate in this country, because there are some countries who couldn't manage this. Some they haven't got the history or the culture really to exploit it. We're very lucky here, aren't we?
We are indeed, and I suppose really we have Cultus to thank for that, because as you may know, Cultus was founded in 1951, because at that time it was really only the older generation who were playing Irish music, and it wasn't cool to play it. But thankfully that has all changed now, and we have musicians are starting. We've a couple of little 5-year-olds playing whistles there at Arcadia last Saturday night, and it's up. We've a lady of 95 who comes into us every Tuesday night to play the fiddle, and they can all play together, and that's the beauty of our Irish music.
And it's ordinary people like that who are going to make this a resounding success. We hear so much about volunteers in this country, but this really couldn't happen without all the volunteers.
Well, it certainly couldn't. I mean, we're all volunteers on the committee. None of us are getting paid at all, even though it's like a full-time job at this stage, but we're not getting paid for it. And it is, the whole organisation runs on volunteers, and that's the beauty. We're a great country for volunteering.
And anybody who wishes to volunteer, if they go onto the Fleadh Cheoil Na website, there's a form there that they can fill out and apply, and we'd be delighted to have as many people as possible. We need a lot of volunteers. We're getting huge support from a corporate level, so we're talking to a lot of local businesses who are already committing staff in big numbers to help us out, which is fantastic. And as well as that, I mean, volunteers come to every Fleadh from all over the world as volunteers. They want to be part of it in that capacity. So, what we are looking for is many volunteers locally who can do a stint. If you can do, during that week, if you can do 4 hours, if you can do 2 hours, if you can do 6 hours, please go online, fleadcheoil.ie, and fill out the form. And Grania Beryl heads up our volunteer committee, and Grania and our team will get back to you. But we'd be delighted to have any support we can get.
Before we finish up, there is one other thing about financial support. Where does this fit in, or what part does it take?
Yeah, well, look, we've a budget of approximately 1.6 million to find. That is a reality.
To find, so you have not yet sourced it.
We have commitments from various sponsors, and as I said at the outset, we'll be rolling out some announcements very shortly. But I am actively seeking sponsorship in the locale and wider afield. We have a patrons program, the brochure here, which sets out different levels of support for this event. It's a unique opportunity to be involved. It's a unique opportunity for businesses to be involved in an event which is national and international in their backyard, and we really would love to see as much support as possible. And to be honest with you, anybody that I've sat down with to have a conversation with has been hugely supportive, not just financially, but also with regard to providing volunteers. I'm not really concerned about the number at this stage. We have 143 days to go. The clock is not ticking by any manner of means, because I know that anyone that I've met is supportive of the event, and anyone that I've met has been, facilitating us by writing a cheque, because they recognise, obviously, the pubs in the area have a huge amount to gain from these 2 years. The hoteliers, the restaurateurs, on a retail basis. We're looking at all businesses, and we're saying, if you have a space in the town centre, and if you have a product or service that maybe doesn't sit with that audience, maybe you should be looking at utilising the space to sell something different during that week. Or if you have a pub or a restaurant, you need to be maximising the space that you have. You need to be looking at your staffing levels. You need to be re-evaluating your whole business for that week to ensure that you capitalise on the opportunity, but also to ensure that we're able to feed and to offer a drink and cups of tea or whatever, sandwiches, to all those people that come during that week.
So there is the opportunity as well for additional part-time work. People may be listening and thinking down the road. So this is all to be realised in the very near future. How many days again did you say to go?
143.
So it'll be 1:36 or something, or 1:37 by this time next week when we have one or both of you in again.
Thanks for that pressure. Yeah, that's great.
Not at all. Just like to emphasise that. Pádraig Kearns, Deputy Project Manager with the Fleadh Cheoil Na Committee, thank you very much. And Lolo Robinson, Chair of Cultus and Chair of the Fleadh Cheoil Committee, thank you indeed both for coming in.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
The voice of the Northeast.